Last week, Abdu Murray laid out the historical evidence for the resurrection of Jesus, the literal, physical restoring to life of a man who publicly claimed to be the Son of God, who said he was on a mission, together with God, to rescue the world and all the people in it. Historical facts about the world we live in, but facts which raise questions. And towards the end of John's Gospel, the risen Jesus has this series of life-changing encounters with people asking questions. People just like us trying to get their heads around the meaning of what's just happened. So this week we're going to take a look at a few of those encounters and see how meeting with Jesus has the power to reshape our understandings of hope for the world, hope for the grief we feel, and hope for the future. When Jesus' tomb was found empty, darkness was everywhere once again. But this was the first day of a new week, the dawn of rebirth for reality. So many of us base our lives on faint shadows of the way things really are. And I want to ask whether you have encountered the risen Jesus in your life, whether you have encountered a hope which even death cannot overcome. It was moving to read media reports in Italy of a priest who was taken into intensive care last week with the effects of coronavirus. His parishioners got together and privately purchased a ventilator for him. But when the ventilator was brought to the priest, he refused to take it, asking instead that it be given to a 13-year-old girl he'd never met. And not long after that, the priest passed away. What can possibly explain the priest's behaviour and his confidence facing death and his hope? Well, there have only really been two types of story told about hope for the world. The first type of story, which many implicitly or explicitly continue to believe today, has its origins in Athens and with ancient philosophers like Aristotle. The story of belief and hope in human progress. This never-ending tale of human improvement, technological improvement, medical improvement, intellectual improvement, moral improvement. Little by little, we'll climb our way to the top of the mountain. The only problem is things like coronavirus show we are more vulnerable than we ever thought. How quickly things tumble down. The second story is the one from Jerusalem. The story of hope in God, a God who cares deeply for the world, who loves you and me, who desires relationship with you and me, and who promised to send a Saviour for you and me. And this is a story not of faith in man's ascent towards becoming a God with a small g, but faith in God with a capital G, having already become man. And these stories really, they could not be more different. Picture them in your mind a bit like two trains which come from different places, and they speak of different journeys, and they have their eyes on different destinations. And as these two stories come to us through the history of ideas, they pass each other outside the tomb of Jesus Christ. Because inside the tomb, the pinnacle of human progress is dead. This tomb contains the body of a man who lived the most incredible life that ever could be lived, morally, intellectually, spiritually. Nothing could seem more hopeless in all the universe. But what is key to remember is that this is the story of a life willingly laid down. Many are asking whether COVID-19 is God's judgment on the earth. But the fullness of God's judgment already fell on Jesus at the top of a mountain we could never climb, called Calvary. Stories of human progress cannot take us there. He has done it. In his words, it is finished. When God resurrected Jesus, it showed that he was on Jesus' side, vindicating the way he lived and died, but also on our side. God is not just able to comfort us in our suffering. God has protested powerfully against our suffering and won. Jesus' resurrection was the turning point in history, a rebirth of reality which brings new light to our experience, no matter how hopeless it seems. What is it that seems hopeless in your life today? Is today a day for you to reach out and welcome Jesus in?